You know, it's one thing to sit there and have a bit of a drinking problem. It's another thing, maybe, to one time have a poor choice of judgment and, get behind the wheel when you're intoxicated and get caught and get a DUI. However, when you start to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the motherfuckers in a 4-year stretch, you are nothing more than a completely reckless moron who deserves to be in prison. Which is exactly what the hell Kurt Angle should have happened to him. All the times that he's been busted for drinking and driving, and he's still able to walk free. Oh, now he's going on Twitter talking about he's going to enter rehab. I'll believe that when I see it. Kurt Angle's a liar. He's always been a liar. He will continue to be a liar. Even worse, he's not only a drunk, but he's a lying, reckless drunk that puts his own life and the lives of others at risk every time he wants to decide to go bottoms up and then hit the damn road. He should immediately be fired by TNA and never brought back. He should also get prison time. This is not a one-time problem, a two-time problem. This is a history of problems where he's potentially putting his own and other people's lives, more importantly, at risk because he is a moron that loves to drink and get behind the wheel and drive drunk. Period. You don't need rehab for that. You could say, well, if you're an alcoholic, maybe you need rehab. I'm sure that's not the only vice you have, Kurt Angle. A little painkillers once in a while. You don't need rehab to teach you to make better choices. Have a designated driver. Call a damn taxi. Don't get so damn plastered in the first place. The fact that TNA is standing by this guy and continuing to support him, even though he continues to exhibit reckless behavior time after time after time, makes me sick, and it should make each and every one of you sick as well. As I was sitting there watching Impact, you get this 1-hour main event, and I started thinking to myself, I must be watching ROH. No, I'm watching Manik versus Chris Sabin for the TNA World Heavyweight Title. Has TNA really fallen that far? Have they really run out of ideas? Is this the best you could really do? Is frickin' TJ Perkins, Manik, versus Chris Sabin for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship? Number one thing that stands out to me, wasn't the whole purpose of the suicide gimmick is to not know who was behind the mask? Wasn't that kind of supposed to be the thing? It was supposed to be a masked persona. Now this is supposed to be some type of alter ego. Like this is freaking, I think as Deluxe Man would say it, to quote him, he would be like, oh, now this is TJ Perkins Spider-Man. This is fucking stupid. Why are they sitting there hiding? We've seen his face. You know what he looks like. So what's with the illusion? Why even bother? Why? Just dumb. And then they sit there and this dumbass company a couple of weeks ago decided to make Chris fucking Sabin. And I don't care if all the Chris Sabin nut huggers out there like Fool Killer 99 and everybody else that want to try and justify this and try to say this was smart, try to say this was a good thing. No, this was stupid, it was moronic, and you damn well know it. The bottom line is this is a guy coming back from not one, but 2 major knee surgeries, 2 ACL tears. Didn't he, correct me if I'm wrong, just lose? Did he not just lose the X Division title a few weeks ago? Or is my memory deceiving me? And now, with no real story to it, with no real ramping up to it, with no real kind of road to redemption storyline, you just fucking make Chris Sabin your TNA World Heavyweight Champion in order to, and here's the genius thing about it, in order to further along the stupid-ass main event Mafia Aces and Eights storyline. So you've now taken your world title, which you could argue whether or not it's a prop to begin with, and you've made it a prop that is now a plot device to continue along a story between 2 factions that a lot of people just don't give a shit about. The main event Mafia and Aces and Eights. Newsflash, TNA. You've had a lot of problems this year. Hasn't been a great year for you as a company from the looks of it. Could it be that one of the reasons for it is the primary faction, the primary group of people, the primary storyline that you were featuring is turning your fans off and turning other fans off. It is not interesting them. It is not entertaining them. It is making them revolt. It is fucking making them feel disgusted and turning away from your damn product. But instead of admitting your mistake and saying, let's wrap this up and end Aces and Aces, you continue it. And you use Chris Sabin winning the TNA World Title as a plot device to continue along this faction's stupid storyline with this other stupid faction, Main Event Mafia. Now you got your first title defense for Chris Sabin is in the 1 hour main event slot against a freaking random-ass ROH guy in TJ Perkins Manik. This isn't a major wrestling company's world title match. That's ridiculous. No story to it. Manik's not a well-developed enough character, and it's a stupid character as it is. And Chris Sabin sure as hell is not developed enough and not nearly good enough of an all-around performer, no matter what you want to say, to be any major wrestling company's world champion. So you're going to trot this out there as a 1 hour main event. It wasn't even the main event wrestling match on your show, let alone your main event segment. That tells you how little TNA cares about that world title. That tells you how little TNA has confidence, how little confidence, they have in Chris Sabin as their world champion. He's in the middle of the damn show, not even the main event wrestling match on the damn show, and sure as hell not the main event segment. And that's this guy's first, and I emphasize again, first title defense. I thought I was watching some ROH bullshit. If I wanted to watch ROH TNA, I'd watch ROH. I tune into TNA to watch TNA, not this garbage. Yet another reason why TNA is a second-rate pretender as a wrestling company. You look at the main event match, the last match on this week's show. You've got a fresh matchup. And when you talk about TNA and WWE, most of us are in that same boat. We get tired after a certain point in time of seeing the same guys wrestle over and over and over again. It does get old. It's not the days of yore. Well, in the days of yore, these guys might touch a lot of the times, but a lot of those shows weren't televised any damn ways. In a different time, different business, but you're in the here and now. And having guys touch time after time after time, especially if it's done on free television, why would anybody ever want to pay money to see it? With that being said, with Austin Aries and AJ Styles, or excuse me, as I will refer to him now, as EJ Styles, Emo Jackass Styles, what the fuck are they doing with him? I thought maybe they were going to do something cool with him, something good with him. He's become some type of emo jackass. He really has. I'm sorry, that's exactly what he's become. You know, at some point in time, AJ Styles, EJ Styles, Austin Aries, they were going to touch because they're both in the BFG series. So, you know, to say, oh, they can't believe they had him touch this first time or whatever, and it was on free TV. Well, that's part of the BFG series. That's also part of the fact that they only have 4, you know, regular pay-per-views now. You know, you can't really save that match for a pay-per-view per se. So that's not the issue. The issue is you do have EJ Styles versus Austin Aries, and this match, which should be a representation of the progressive type of different feeling programming that TNA brings to the table. This is what it should represent. Being about wrestling, being about featuring athleticism and physicality and high flyers and great performers that can also tell a very damn good story in the ring like EJ Styles and Austin Aries can. Instead of making these guys the main event and building up to it throughout the course of the entire night, having them close the show and even giving us, God forbid, some follow-up afterwards, they still got to play second fiddle to the stupid-ass Aces and Eights and Main Event Mafia. This match, this great match that we saw on Impact, couldn't even close the damn show. You got 2 former world champions of your company, Austin Aries and EJ Styles, an original with your company. Most people feel the face of the company, even still to this day, when they think TNA, a lot of times the first name they think of is AJ, in my case, EJ Styles. And you've got these 2 guys facing off with something legitimate at stake, points in the BFG series, and they can't even close the fucking show. So now you've got this great match, and you know nothing else afterwards is going to be able to follow. And that's exactly what happened with Impact this week. When you have something like this TNA, and you have this opportunity, you have to take advantage of this opportunity and feature it and showcase it like it's the most important thing on your show. Because if you're supposed to be counterculture to the WWE and their sports entertainment, then that means you are supposed to be first and foremost, like the old NWA used to be, a wrestling company. Which means first and foremost, you should be featuring wrestling above all else. And you've got EJ Styles and Austin Aries, a great exhibition of professional wrestling, and they can't even main event the damn show. So if it's not bad enough that TNA has a second-rate pretender being prostituted around as their World Heavyweight Champion, their World Heavyweight Champion, if it's not bad enough that they're supposed to be counterculture to the WWE, who is about sports entertainment, therefore TNA should be about wrestling, you've got a match like Emo J Styles and Austin Aries, and it can't even main event, you get to what I think really crystallizes all the problems with TNA. A lot that are in their control, some that aren't. The bottom line is TNA gets shown on Spike TV. And Spike TV's parent company is Viacom. Sometimes what happens in the business and corporate world, things come down the pike that you don't like, that flat out suck, that you think are stupid, but because that's the way it works in the business world, you have to put on your happy face and do the best you can to work with the shit that you're being given. So I will give TNA and Dixie credit for this, if nothing else. Whenever they have to do something stupid that the network wants them to do, by God, they do the best they can to go in line and do just that. They're all about making Spike TV and the parent company Viacom very happy. Yay! But this shouldn't have been any great surprises. Hashtag August 1 warning crap. Last week, I would hope more of you, even without any dirt sheets leaking this crap, I would hope more of you would be intelligent enough now to be able to figure things out. If Bellator is going to be signing somebody like Tito Ortiz, and he's going to be fighting Rampage Jackson in November, we should be intelligent enough now to put 2 + 2 together to make 4 and be able to say, oh, that means at some point in time soon, we're going to see Tito Ortiz on Impact because Impact is being used now to pump up Bellator. Because Viacom wants to make Bellator a freaking contender and competitor to the UFC. And they never will be. They're just second-rate amateurs, just like TNA is compared to the WWE, frankly. So you spend 6-7 days pumping this up with stupid videos that you show on the internet that they look like anybody with Movie Maker or some other type of video editing software could make. Like, oh, August 1st, I'm not this guy, I'm not that guy. Well, we kind of wish you were one of those guys. Because you bring this guy out with very little build, you bring this guy out with very little hype, and then you do it in a moronic way. The lights turn off, the lights come on, and there's dumbass Tito Ortiz sitting there like this looking like a moron. And if anybody knows how to look like a moron, it's me, because I do it consistently in my life, damn it. This is looking like a moron. This is what Tito Ortiz was doing. It's the same damn thing. Why? Because you want to hype up Tito Ortiz and Rampage Jackson on November 2nd? Two guys years past their MMA fighting prime? Guys that we saw them last fighting in MMA were getting their ass kicked, especially in the case of Tito Ortiz, several times over. So TNA is trying to pump this up like it's a big deal, and all the while, their crowd does nothing. Saying crickets would be an insult to crickets because crickets make a sound. This did nothing. Just like TNA continues to spin their wheels and do nothing. It's amateur hour at Impact Wrestling, and you fucking see it week after week, and you sure as hell saw it throughout the entire episode of Impact this week. Disgraceful.